Hi Virgo, welcome to your end of July 2020 tarot update. It's Serena here. I had to start over if you're wondering why these cards are laid out. The heart of the matter is the Queen of Wands, and I look at this card because the Queen represents the water element and the Wands the fire. Fire and water are both elements that have emotion attached to them in their own way. And fire is masculine and water is feminine. And of course, water drowns out fire and fire dries out water, right? So the key is to be able to have that sense of the fire, which is the confidence and the independence of, that fire represents. And the creativity, and the water of the sensitivity at the same time, the intuition. And try to find a way to have this come together. And I feel like you're doing this in some way. This can also be a person who's in a position of authority, like a lady boss. Whether this is you kind of stepping into that role and really feeling like you belong there. Virgo, I've said this before, I got a lot of flack for it, but it does rule the 6th house, the sign of the servant. Being a servant isn't bad. It means that the person's able to leave their ego at the door and they're able to help others from a selfless position. But this is a position of leadership. Do Virgos tend to seek out leadership? I would say not, but if you have inner planets in Leo, then for sure that can be something that you naturally are acclimated for and you gravitate towards. So Mars in Leo, for instance, any moon sign in fire energy, even the rising sign can give a demeanor that is very kind of like born for leadership, even Capricorn. But we're talking about fire, which is about confidence. And Virgos tend to question themselves, second guess themselves. And so this is a welcome change of pace. And if this is a different person, this person can be a great cheerleader for you. So the Queen can also be the mother. So whether your mother plays a role like that she's very encouraging, or you have a stepmother, an in-law, a mother-in-law who you look to for guidance and for, to gain inspiration from, like a role model, then that could be also what's going on. Or just a boss who's very positive, who leads the crew, the employees, with a lot of respect. In the past position we have the Judgment card, and this is a card that can talk about something coming into fruition, reaping what you've sown. And that doesn't have to be bad, obviously. But there is like a rebirth within this. So, I mean, an example would be going through a divorce and having, that almost being like a test that you have to kind of navigate that. And you pass the test with flying colors. And you come into your own by experiencing this thing, by walking through the fire. The higher message is the Lover's card, and this is a card of true intimacy, a couple, like a real couple, not just a couple in name only. So if you are somebody who, first of all, let me just say the Queen of Wands can be like a working mother, somebody who's like a career woman and a mother, and maybe if you have gotten divorced, you really have that sense of autonomy but you still are in that position of the mother. The Lover's card is about, being able to discern what is the kind of relationship that is a true relationship. Sometimes, for instance, people get married or they make a committed relationship because they have children together and they think this is what we should do, and maybe it is what they should do, but then they end up playing the roles of father and mother instead of having a true relationship between themselves. And maybe now you have seen that is something that you are going to avoid in the future. Actually, the card that is the challenge card is the Four of Wands. So this is in the upright position. This is the happy home. In the challenge position, this is that gone awry. And maybe it's an adjustment period if you have gotten divorced. If you have been, let's say you're someone who is back in the workforce after being at home for a while, it may throw your family off and it may feel a little bit strange. Or even if you're single, the Four of Wands might mean that your home isn't perfect anymore. You were there all the time, you're a Virgo, you're very anal, and maybe you had more time to keep everything together, and now you're full on with career matters. But whatever's going on, the Four of Wands doesn't have to be something permanent. It just means that there is an adjustment to be made. What is coming in is represented by the Death card. You will be having a full moon in Pisces on September 2nd. That is a little ways off, but really, gosh, now that I think about it, it's not even a month and a half away. Can you believe it? Well, it depends on when you're listening to this. It is kind of like a month and a half away. I'm recording this on the 16th of July, so September 2nd is approximately 1.5 months from now. But that's really nothing. That's like 45 or 46 days. So yeah, freaky. And so in other words, it's coming up pretty soon, and Pisces is your opposite sign. So that will be the 7th house of committed partnership. And a full moon here can indicate endings, some sense of completion. Also, like legal matters could be this area if this is something you have been dealing with. And so the point being that you may have to, kind of like ease into it if this is a process for you. If you have already filed for divorce and the judgment, but it hasn't been finalized or something like that. The other thing too is you're going to have a new moon in your sign later in, actually 2 months. Tomorrow's the 17th, exactly 2 months from when I'm recording this tomorrow, which is the 17th of July. It'll be 2 months after that. So you're going to have your solar return in a couple of months, and then you're going to be embarking on a whole new cycle for yourself. But before you have that cycle, you have to experience an ending, and this is an irrevocable ending of sorts. So whether this is involving a, like some kind of a legal matter connected to a marriage, or whether this is with the Queen of Wands, maybe even like child custody or child support. It seems to me that, there could be some kind of a house situation that is, part of this. So that might be why the Four of Wands is in the challenge position, because there's a problem with a property that maybe multiple people are making claims to, if this is like family members or something like that. And the queen could be like the matriarch or the person who is kind of running the show. And maybe this person wants something that they don't deserve. They want more than their fair share. And they have this sense of, self-importance. This is in the upright position. Oh no, I hope the person who, somebody like really got offended by when I mentioned something about the Queen of Wands in another video. And I thought it was kind of funny, but they might have identified with the Queen of Wands. This is an upright position, so it's not supposed to be something necessarily negative. But the Queen of Wands, this can be a female, especially an older female, who is in some prominent position, either professionally, or she's a mother. She's, she has some power over others in some way. And she may actually be a fire sign. Sag is supposed to be the sign. I always say the sunflower means it's Leo. And also kind of what the attributes are remind me kind of more of Leo in a sense. There's like warm-heartedness and positivity with this type of person. However, this person may have a sense of wanting that kind of recognition. There might be a diva-like quality with this person. And that's true for anybody who is a fire sign. I'm a fire sign. I'm a Sagittarian. But I have a lot of earth. Maybe that tempers it a little bit. I don't really expect people to treat me a certain way. But some people have that larger-than-life attitude. And they just exaggerate everything. So it's not really malicious, but it still can come across as a little bit puffed up, a little bit drama queen-esque. And it is what it is, It doesn't mean that I'm putting it down. I'm just saying. The outcome is the Eight of Wands. This is a lot of movement all of a sudden. And this can involve lots of communication, back and forth. But there's a sense of eagerness, maybe a sense of urgency with this. Perhaps the people involved are really feeling like they're releasing tension, that they've been pent up, and now they can freely communicate. Now they can freely make their plans and actually enact their plans. So if this is you, then the Death card, if this is something that is connected to like an inheritance issue, if you will, or like a legal matter, the Death, maybe, it's almost like you could be waiting for somebody that is in that state that's almost has left this world, and then everything starts to shake out, because something may be holding that up. And while the person, who knows, maybe it's not that the person hasn't died yet, but that they haven't fully, signed over on a will. Let me think here. And I'm wondering if this is going to be true for you. This might even be as at the beginning of October, when this is completely finalized. But even in September, the legal battle may be over. But it's kind of like having everything settled, where everybody's getting things distributed. That might be at the beginning of October. But the point is that sometimes leading up to, the drama surrounding a person's passing can be what keeps everybody in tension and all that. And then there's that release of the person who is suffering and also of the people who are suffering as well. And that has made them clash in some way. Because with the Judgment, there may have been some kind of unpleasantness with certain people. And the higher message of the Lover's card, this is a card that the number 6 connects with Venus, which is about, you know, everything being harmonious. And it's not always easy to pull that off, but when people are coming from, you know, a place of integrity and a willingness to kind of, you know, hear other people out, that can make it a lot easier. So usually with the Death card, I think of transformation rather than literal death, but I want to include that possibility if some of you have dealt with the passing of a loved one. This is not something that I think is unknown. If the person hasn't passed already, because this is kind of like supposed to be the future position, but it might just be that even if they have done so, this is kind of a drawn out process, which has created some of the cards like the Judgment card, the card of rebirth, of, you know, maybe having to let go of some of the, maybe letting go of some of those judgments about what it is that you feel regarding a person in your life, that if they were difficult, if they didn't treat you as you felt you should be treated. But it's almost like this sense of things kind of opening up as a result of that, and you feeling more freedom, and freedom of movement especially, and just that sense of transformation in general. Okay, Virgo, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated, at least in some way. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.